Hey guys, so today we are going to be reviewing the Technic Bronze Eyeshadow palette. This is what it looks like. I saw this on Instagram and I don't know, I think it was the filter or something that I saw on it, or that was on the picture. It looked so much like, this looks lovely, don't get me wrong, but the filter I think made it look a hell of a lot nicer than what it looks like in real life. I actually thought that this was a highlight palette when I saw it on Instagram, but it's not. It's an eyeshadow palette. I actually, after I saw it on Instagram, I don't think I was able to find it online because I didn't know who it was by. I didn't know anything about it because it was just literally this amongst a whole flat lay of other highlight palettes, and that's another reason why I thought it was a highlight palette, because it was amongst other highlight palettes. So like the glow kits and all the highlight palettes, all the big ones. Anyway, so I think I went out to Wood Green and I found it. There was a guy selling a few Technics items, and I picked this one up. I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I saw. That's exactly what I saw. But on the front it said bronze in eyeshadows, and I just thought, oh, I'm still gonna try it because it was only £4. Now I am wearing it today on my eyelids, as you can see. You tell me what you think. I am wearing this shade here on my eyelids, nothing else. Now as you can see, these two shades here are very, very similar to one another, and I can't stand when brands do that, when they make 2 or 3 shades just so similar to one another. It's just like, what was the point? What is the point? I just don't get it. When I picked it up, as I said, I did obviously realize it's an eyeshadow palette, but I thought, okay, I'm gonna get it because it might be good as a highlight palette. As you can see, it's very, very shimmery. Like, please ignore the reflection, but it is quite shimmery, and I don't think that they had, from what I can remember, I don't think that they had one that they were like a sample one to swatch. I had to just take it for what it was. They do have a few other palettes like this in their range, but like blues and greens and reds, and then this one was like the bronzier one. I wasn't too drawn to the other palettes, so I just decided to stick with this one. I did get another Technic palette which was like it was like grease paints, because my son wanted me to basically do like it was around Halloween time, so he wanted me to do his face as a skeleton. So I will show that to you at some point in another video, and I'll let him review it himself, because you know, he has his palette and uses it for his face paintings and stuff like that, so I'll leave him to have that glory. So we're here to review this eyeshadow palette, which kind of looks like a highlight palette, but let's see whether or not it doubles up as highlight. Okay, so here are the swatches. They kind of look quite accurate to what I see in comparison to what I'm seeing in the monitor. Now it's such a shame because it's like this top color here, it has such a great pigmentation, but then these two lighter colors here, they're quite patchy and I don't feel like they carry much pigment, and it's the same with the purple one, which is the 4th one down. And then as for the bronzier colors, the two at the bottom, which I did mention looked very, very similar in the pan, they look very, very similar when they're swatched as well. I mean, they are decent, but I do find that you have to really put your finger in there or put your brush in there to get any payoff. When I was using it today to do this look, I found that using it dry does nothing. It does nothing. You really do have to have a brush which is damp, or make sure that you have some Fix Plus on hand so that you can, you know, amp up that color. Once it does go on, it is again a little bit on the patchier side, and you do have to really build up the intensity to what you want it to be. It's not like an automatic bam in your face like you would like it to. But maybe there's people out there who prefer to build up their color as opposed to it just being in your face. I don't know, but me, I like to just have the pigment there first time round without having to do all of this build up work. It just saves time. It is a bit of a shame considering, because the colors themselves are really, really nice. I mean, this purple here, I would love for it to be as intense as the color as it is in the pan, but it just doesn't come off like that. They are quite dry, but that's probably because it's a baked form formula. They're not going to be smooth and buttery, and I wouldn't expect them to be. You know, they are a bit on the drier side, and especially as they are a bit hit and miss, I would expect them to be a little bit dry. But for the price point of only £4, again, I can't expect the world from it. I really just can't. So it's a bit of a shame, but it's not that it's a complete write-off. You have to do some work in order to make them work. You've got to put in some of the effort too. So I would, if you are able to get your hands on it, I would say it's good to, you know what, I actually think that these are really good for somebody who wants to try shimmer and foiled eyeshadows for the first time. That's who I think these are good for. If you're a bit apprehensive and you just want to play around with some foiled shadows or some shimmer shadows, whatever you want to call it, then I would say that this is a good place to start. Then work your way up to the better stuff. I mean, just like when they say, you know, if you're a beginner in makeup, then why not get like the BH Cosmetics or the Morphe palettes or whatnot. They're good shadows, but they're inexpensive, and you know, it's just a good introduction. This is what I think this is. I think it's a good introduction to shimmers. As for them being highlights, when I did try them at first as highlights, it's just not, it's not there. It's really not. The only one that you could ever really consider to be a highlight would be this pearly kind of color here, which is the third down on my arm, and for me it's not the right level of intensity for it to be a highlight, and on top of that it's not the right shade for me. But yeah, they're good. They're not the best. You do need to work with them in order to make them work. Is it worth £4? I mean, it's only £4. I do believe that they're worth £4. As I've said in a few videos before, I can't expect best out of something which is so inexpensive. I just can't. That will just be so unfair. They're not, for the price that they're asking you to pay, they're not going to be using the best quality ingredients to create and make this palette. So I can't expect to get the best out of it. But as I said, it's not a complete write-off. I think if you're new to shimmers, get this. It's only £4. So if you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to share as well. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.